All right, Pete, West Ham. Any updates on plans to sign another center back? We talked a little bit about Joel Matip last week, maybe Mats Hummels. We saw Hummels now move to the Serie A. Is there anything progressing with Matip?
Yeah, I think obviously it is an area of the team that West Ham would like to strengthen in. Having let Agard and Kurt Zuma both leave just before the close of the window has left them a bit short in those centre back options. John Egan, the former Sheffield United player, did play for them in a practice game last week, but he's now ended up signing for Burnley, so that's no longer an option for West Ham. Joel Matip, being a free agent, and that's all that West Ham can do right now until the January window opens, is to look at free agents. Matip ticks a lot of boxes. He's got great experience from his time at Liverpool. He's a quality defender, there's no doubts about that. Having won so many things with Liverpool in the past, the only question mark is he had a serious knee injury, I think last December, and he's been sidelined since then. But I think he is back to fitness. But if they could get somebody like a Joel Matip on a short-term deal, I think it would be a no-brainer for West Ham, because worst case scenario, if they were to pick up a few injuries at centre back right now, if Kilman or Mavropanos or Todibo were to pick up injuries, they would be really short, and Julian Lopetegui will be scrambling around, maybe putting square pegs in round holes with the likes of maybe some fullbacks having to play in defence as well, and that's the last thing West Ham will want. So I think they'll be working pretty hard right now to see if they can find a free agent centre back, and for me, Matip is probably one of the best centre back free agents still out there.
No doubt about that. And Paul, West Ham have unfortunately hit a little bit of an injury bug with Fulkrug getting injured in training with Germany. What will the plan be there until he's back? We know that they wanted to sign another striker this summer, but that didn't come to fruition. So where do they turn in the squad?
No, listen, Antonio plays, doesn't he? I mean, Antonio played last week, and he leads the line well. We know he's not getting any younger, but he still has the same effect. His physical presence, he can get a goal, and I think his work rate as well. The big thing for West Ham, the way when I watch them, Antonio, if he's not a goal threat, what he does is he occupies the centre halves. I always link this to the way that Giroud played at Arsenal, and he plays in the French national team. He might not be the most prolific goal scorer, but when you play with a lone striker and three in behind you, you need the lone striker, the number 9, to occupy the centre halves they're playing against, to be a nuisance, to be a pest, to make at least 2 of the 3 defenders that you're playing against mark you. And that's what Antonio does. And when he's got the likes of Kudus, Paqueta and Bowen in behind, it allows them to do the damage in the same way as Giroud does did in the French national team. Wasn't always prolific, yes, got his share of goals, but what he did was allow the 3 in behind him the space because he occupies the defender. And I think that's what Antonio can do for them. Yeah, they were looking for another striker. Fulkrug, I've been really excited to see in the Premier League. I thought it was a great signing, I really did. I thought he was going to be, he's the old-fashioned number 9, isn't he? He's a big lump of a centre forward and put balls in the box. He's mobile, he's fit, knows where the goal is, scores a lot of goals. And it's just been unfortunate for West Ham. Their season hasn't really got going yet, West Ham. The new manager, the new players taking a little bit of time to bed in. It's work in progress, but I still like what they've got there at West Ham at the moment.
No doubt about that. And Pete, we did know that they were looking for another striker this past summer, something they could go for in the winter. Obviously, as Paul mentioned, Antonio not always firing in front of goal. Danny Ings having a slow time at West Ham over the last year. Could they go for another striker in January?
Yeah, I think they could. Obviously, West Ham are one of the busiest clubs in the summer transfer window, spending a lot of money on the likes of Fulkrug as well. If the money's available to Julian Lopetegui in January, I'm sure bringing in another forward would be a top priority for him. Also, looking long term, we've got Antonio and Danny Ings both coming to the end of their contracts in 2025. So if neither of those players sign new deals, they're going to have to replace them come next season if they do run down their contracts at the London Stadium. So yeah, there will be big question marks for West Ham to sort out those striking issues, I think. Obviously, they will be hoping Fulkrug can get back to fitness quickly and score goals for them as well. But they've also got Jared Bowen there, who can play as a number 9. He obviously is the talisman for West Ham. He's now the new club captain as well. So there is options there for Julian Lopetegui. But I think if the right player was available in January at the right price, I think West Ham would be interested, especially if they were to offload Antonio or Ings before their contracts run out in next summer. Maybe they could look to offload those players to free up some space in the squad and trim the wage bill as well.
Did that twice, Bowen. Sorry to interrupt you, Will. For England in the last 2 games. Covered the last 2 England games, and Lee Carsley had no qualms in throwing Jared Bowen on as the number 9. Brought Harry Kane off him, and in both games he played him as that central striker. So yeah, that's another option that Lopetegui's got at his disposal.